Welcome to the PLAAFP On Demand. This is one in a series. My name is Denise Harrison, and I will be your facilitator as we work our way through what is required on the PLAAFP, or Present Levels of Academic Achievement and Functional Performance. Let's get started. We begin with our board's vision and mission. We are focused intently on making sure all students are exposed to the highest quality educational opportunity so that they are positioned for success in their future. Here are 6 goals that we plan and work around. These goals are critical for our entire education system. They help us to aim at the same target. Here you see the session goals for this training. Pause if you need to read it. In this slide, you will find your session materials. I've included a QR code and a web address for your convenience. The directions are on the phone. You will need the work mat and the template. Pause and continue when you have all your materials at hand. When talking about the PLAAFP, we talk about the strengths, the needs, the parent and student concerns, and the baseline data. The baseline data will be on our IEP on demand with goals and progress monitoring. It best fits there, so look for it there. This past year, MDE revised the IEP template, and that is the one that is in your handouts. They have numbered each section on the items that belong in there. So let's get started. Number 1, students' current performance in reading and math. We want to make sure that we back that up with data, and we'll talk about that on our next slide. The next one is academic and functional strengths. Functionally, how can they maneuver? Do they maneuver safely in their environment? Are they able to communicate their wants, needs, and interests to others? Number 3, those social, behavioral, and emotional strengths. Make sure it's just positive right here. We don't want to talk about anything negative in this section. Number 4, their interest. Do they have motivational interest that maybe help them complete a task? Number 5, their preferences. How do they best learn? Do they best learn by themselves using technology? Do they best learn in a small group? How can they access that curriculum? And how is it comfortable for them to access that curriculum? And then number 6 is our applicable. Transition in Mississippi is 14. If you have a student that turns 13 this year and this IEP is going to expire before they turn 14, go ahead and address that transition on the IEP. Also, the preschool skills, and that just refers to their developmental areas. Data should be on both the strength section and the needs section. Just to remember, do not use out-of-date data on that PLAAFP. We usually say about 1 year. And if you have a comprehensive evaluation, no more than 3. Also, make sure you do not have only technology assessments and those that are only multiple choice, because we want to make sure we have a variety of ways that we are showing the data on the strength section and the needs section. This is an example of a reading strength with data documentation. Pause the video so that you can thoroughly look over this example. It is also on your work mat. Start back when you are ready. Let's talk about the needs section. Number 1, what is the direct impact of the student's disability and how they access and make progress in the general education curriculum? This doesn't mean their eligibility. This is a description of what is impacting their progress. Number 2, how does it compare to same age peers? How does their progress compare to their same age peers in the same class? Number 3, what do they need in the way of accommodations and modifications to help them be successful? Number 4, we want to talk about transition, again, if they're at that age, and then preschool, again, that talks about the 3 to 4 or 5-year-olds if needed. Also, if your student has a behavior IEP but not academic, then you just need to address on the needs section or the strength section that they are on grade level. We need to go ahead and address it. Even if you do not need to put some data documentation, you can just put they're on grade level. This is an impact statement formula. The formula is a description of the disability characteristic impacting the student. not a statement of the eligibility of the student. You may not always have a needs statement or comparison data, for example, medical or behavior. However, it will always mention the characteristic of the disability. In the needs section, you will write your impact statement for every need that the student has, then give documentation to back it up. And that leads us to the next slide, data. Again, we have the data slide. We talked about it in the strengths section and just previously in the needs section. And remember, we need data, documentation to back up everything that we do on the PLAAFP. The goal of that is to show growth. Remember to have a variety of data sources, not just one multiple choice. Here's an example of a behavior impact statement. Notice that a standard is not referenced because this is not an area of which we have a standard. Pause the video so that you can thoroughly look over the example. This is also on your work mat. You may continue when you are finished. Here is another example, and this one is in reading. You may pause and continue as needed. The last section is the parent and student concern section. It is imperative that we include the parent and the student when developing a plan to help them be successful. On the next slide gives us some ideas of how we can go about to do that. I have listed some ways that worked for me when I was planning and trying to get my families involved in the IEP process. Have you used any of these? Have they worked? Have they been successful for you? Have you used the virtual this year? Here you see a parent example and a student example. Pause, read over it, and continue as needed. For extra resources, I have included this QR code and the web address.
For more information on IEPs or to request additional trainings, email Amy Shelley at ashelley@mdek12.org.